I'm born and raised in New York. I lived in New York all my life, and for me, Spillane is New York. In many ways, he epitomizes the tough detective. In doing an arrangement about Spillane, I researched the subject in detail. I reread a lot of the books. I saw a lot of the films that were made of the books. So in picking him as a subject, I was really picking New York as a subject. And again, I worked on it in moment form, and it came out in a series of images: sleazy stripper, dream scene, bloody murder with a car, stakeout, drinking a cup of coffee, a long wait, etc., etc. Each moment is kind of relates to Spillane in a very specific way. Sometimes it's an image that I took from one of his novels, or a character, or a novel that I try to sum up in one musical moment of 6 seconds long. Sometimes it's just something that might happen in his world. Separate images that I then scored as if I was writing a soundtrack. And then with these separate images, I then began to work on an ordering of them. And I took these cards, each one with a different image and a different musical moment on it, and I began to order it in different ways until I found what I felt was the perfect ordering. And then I went into the studio armed with these cards, which really is what the score amounts to, plus a lot of traditionally notated musical material. I work as a rule in the mornings or whenever I get inspired at a small keyboard, and I just write abstract music down. Sometimes I'll put a mood to it, like if one feels mysterious or romantic or whatever. And later, when I was working on the Spillane file cards, I'd go through it and find a section that I'd think, this should have actual written notation for it. I'd go through some of the music that I've been writing around that time, find something that seemed appropriate, and then when we were in the studio and we got to this card, when it was time to record it, I passed sheets out and explained the arrangement I wanted. Their input would be very important, and ultimately, the choice of the musicians is essential.
My instructions were, do your thing. I didn't know the songs. The only thing I had to go by was listening, looking at the other musicians, and especially John Zorn, who would be there, standing in front of my drum kit, wailing on his horn, and gesticulating wildly, occasionally stopping to say, "Go, go," something like that. It was quite an experience, and everyone had a good time.
It's really movies is what got me into music, and I think that's where there's a real strong connection between film and music for me. I saw Fantasia and I liked the music, and so I went and I bought, I liked Mickey Mouse, right? Sorcerer's Apprentice, I bought that. Then I got into Stravinsky, Rite of Spring, and then I saw The Phantom of the Opera with Lon Chaney, and he plays the organ in that movie, you know. So I went and I bought a lot of Bach organ music, and then I heard this record, Kagel, Improvisation Ajoutée, this record here. I bought this when I was about, I guess, 15. It's still marked. I got it at Sam Goody in September for 98 cents. And it was just a really crazy piece with guys screaming and hooting, and so something about it that really attracted me. And I remember I was sitting at my friend's house. He really liked the Rolling Stones. And I just bought this record and I said, "You got to hear this. This is great." And we put it on, and he was looking at me like, "Who the hell are you? Are you out of your mind?" And his mother was there, and she was like, you know, going, "Oh my God, take this off." And I don't know, right then at that moment, I think that's when I decided this was the music.
Not so much that it's music for film, but it's based on our visual culture, on watching TV and films, and being used to having everything edited in a very fast manner.
mean, practically my whole life I was brought up on the tube. My mother used to put me in a laundry basket in front of test patterns to shut me up when I was a kid. So the television is a really important part of my life, and cartoons obviously are strong. In terms of cartoon music, I think really the most interesting, most revolutionary work was done in the late 30s and 40s by Warner Brothers in the Bugs Bunny and Daffy Duck cartoons that we know so well. That stuff, in terms of time, in terms of the musical time, it's no one has even come close to touching that. I don't care how, you know, talk about Cage, talk about Stravinsky or Varese, talk about anybody. No one has dealt with time the way Carl Stalling dealt with it, because he was dealing with an image and trying to sync the music up to an image. You take the image away and you're listening to something that doesn't make musical sense. It doesn't have a development the way that other music has development. So it's a very, very special thing that remained in my mind.
What interests me about Zorn's music is, first of all, that it compares in fascinating ways with the downtown music that just preceded it. It seems to me that he's making a real jump from formalized composition into a kind of improvisatory style that owes a lot to jazz but isn't really like jazz.
It's really opened me up to possibilities of mixing improvisation with composition. I mean, that's the way my mind works. It jumps from one place to another. You just listen to my music and you can hear it right there. That's my continuity. That's my sense of development. There's stuff that you can get from any kind of music. There's always something there. Country music, classical music. I get ideas from all different kinds of places and get obsessed with different styles of music, like the tango style I was obsessed with for, you know, a number of years, and now the hardcore, I'm really into hardcore. Japanese pop, I was really into it for a number of years, 4 or 5 years ago, and then it kind of took a backseat to something else, which took a backseat to something else. So it's kind of like a constant add-on process. I hear something in my head which is a true mixture of maybe jazz and classical and hardcore, but I haven't really been able to capture it yet in a band situation. Some of the pieces I've written for Naked City come the closest to that.